Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel, I don't know. This is like my first official YouTube video. I actually really appreciate you coming here. But yeah, I'm basically gonna just go over like about me and what I do and what I like and what I'm into, and then talk about my illness and like just kind of explain my multitude of diagnoses. And yeah, I think it'll be a good intro to me. I have you guys set up on some like janky stack of pillows or something right now. I like was watching, okay, how do you make videos on an iPhone, all this stuff, because like I'm new to it. So if anybody has tips, please let me know, because like I'm definitely learning. Right now I'm recording on my iPhone and I'll probably be editing out my PC later. Editing it on my PC later. So we'll see like what little edits I throw in and stuff. But yeah, let's get into it. So I'm Claire. I was born and raised outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And that's where I currently live now too. I'm 22 years old, and I don't know, like I was in school. I went to college and had 3 years done before I had to take a medical leave, and I was a biology major, and yes, I was also like taking history classes on the side. I guess I could have gotten a minor if I wanted to try for that. I studied abroad in Prague for half a semester and like studied a lot of World War II history and that kind of stuff, so I'm like nerdy in that sense. And then to add on to the nerd, right, like my day-to-day life, I'm a Twitch streamer, which I'll put the Twitch, I guess, in the, oh, I feel like such a YouTuber, guys. I'm gonna put the Twitch in the link in the description below. But I mainly game. World of Warcraft is my main game. I don't stream that because nobody wants to watch that. But I do stream Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and 11, Injustice 1 and 2, so like a lot of fighting games, and sometimes like Rayman Legends. I don't know, I'm always trying new stuff, so feel free to stop by, I guess, if you guys are into gaming or just want to chat and hang out. Sometimes I just have chatting streams where we talk about what's going on in the world and mental health, stuff like that. Wow, this is some interesting hair, isn't it? I just woke up, so this is what you're dealing with. This is what you get. So anyways, yeah, so my day-to-day life, I usually like wake up around 9ish. I have a whole bunch of medication I have to take. I'll get more into that later. Once I take my meds, I make sure that I get some food in my stomach. And then, yeah, usually I just come back up here and start to get started with my day, whether that's like cleaning up my room, I make my bed every day to start, or whether that's like hopping onto the computer and I do gold making on World of Warcraft, checking out my gold on there, checking out like I have a Twitter and an Instagram that have all been pretty, not busy, but I've been pretty active on them. So that's generally what I'll do for a few hours, lay around, you know, be lazy, not feel like getting out of bed, go downstairs, you know, cuddle with my dog, talk to my mom for a bit, and then I usually stream for a good number of hours, end up taking a nap. I don't know. Pandemic life hasn't been too great for us immunocompromised, so this room is pretty much the extent of my life. I will definitely, like, a plan for an upcoming video is to kind of give you a tour of my world, because I've kind of created a whole world up here. I've got a gaming station, I've got my bedroom part, I've got like vinyl, I've got a whole workout station that I've like figured out how to do, I've got like a puzzle area, so I'll definitely have to be showing you guys that at some point. But it's a complete and utter mess right now, so we're gonna make that a future video. And yeah, so outside of streaming, talking to friends and going to therapy, I guess, I go to therapy twice a week, and yeah, I think that's been my only outing pretty much since last February, almost a year now, which is crazy. But you know, COVID's COVID. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know. I'm outdoorsy when I can be. I really enjoy spending time with my dog and going and like walking with her and stuff when I can. But it's really hard to be able to have like the energy and wherewithal to be able to do things like that. So with that, I guess I should go ahead and get into my illness, which is the main topic of this. I'm gonna explain my diagnoses, all of them, all 4 million of them, and kind of me, like what's going on with me as a person. So, my diagnoses. I'm gonna split this up into half mental, half physical health, even though you'll see that they cross over a lot. One affects the other. They like feed off of each other, the meds affect each other, so it's a whole kind of thing. But let's start off with like physical health. What's wrong with me? So when I was 19, I was in college and I got a pretty bad viral infection. And I ended up like having to come home and see a specialist, and I was in college at the time, so cesspool. And basically I ended up getting a virus, and with the virus I was pretty sick. My throat ended up swelling like 65% across the back, which is kind of crazy. I remember, so my sister's in medical school, and I remember all of her and her med school friends coming over to look at it because it was the coolest thing that they had seen, I guess. And so after that virus, I like took steroids, you know, got over the virus, but as many times like with the virus, you get a headache. And so I got a headache when I had this virus, didn't really notice much about it until the virus went away and the headache didn't. And this is kind of what started my whole journey. And so I had about a half a year of misdiagnoses, tests, everything you could pretty much imagine. So like all kinds of blood tests, of course. Had a spinal tap to look at my spine fluid, obviously like had MRIs and stuff of my brain to make sure it wasn't a brain tumor and I wasn't dying, like there wasn't an aneurysm or a bleed, nothing like that. So they tried me on like a bunch of different pain medications, were like throwing things at me like, oh, like have some Vicodin, like who cares, like it's the pain, we want to get rid of this. And while all this is happening, I'm still in college, still trying to take on a full course load. I actually ended up dropping a class that semester because like there was no way I was keeping up a full course load. And so then eventually I came across the diagnosis of something called New Daily Persistent Headache, NDPH for short. That's what I'm going to be referring to it as now. But basically, in short, so New Daily Persistent Headache is a very broad, very, very broad diagnosis. The criteria to fit in for New Daily Persistent Headache is you have to have a headache continuously for longer than, it used to be 3 months, I think they might have changed it up to 6 months. It's like, it's a very new diagnosis, so there's always stuff changing in the medicine. But yeah, so you have to have a continuous headache with no break in the headache at all. So like it's never you wake up in the morning, don't have a headache, and then it comes on later. Or you wake up and have a horrible headache, but then it goes away midday, but then it comes back at night. Like none of that. It can never break. It has to be one continuous headache. And so yeah, it takes that. It has to not be treatable by most migraine like drugs. or any pain drugs. And other than that, there's like really not that much of like a strict coherent thing to diagnose NDPH. So you can imagine like how wide of a range that is. So I'm in the 40% of people who are diagnosed that it started off with some sort of viral infection and it has an unknown origin. So we don't know the name of the virus that I had. I was tested for everything you can imagine under the sun, like some random fungus that grows in the desert that I was like within 150 miles of in case the spores had floated on the wind somehow or something. Like, I was tested for everything. And, you know, it was just an unnamed virus, wrecked my system for some reason. So, anyway, with the diagnoses of NDPH, so yeah, there's the 40% like me, it came on from a virus. Then there's like another percentage that it comes on hormonally. So like they'll get it when they start to go through puberty, and then when they go through menopause, if it's a female, then the NDPH will actually go away. That's not me because it was too late in my life. And then the last like main category are people who have had concussions or some sort of brain trauma, and there's nothing like physically really to be seen, but they still have this lingering headache. I'd say that's the like final category. And then NDPH breaks down further past there into, so sometimes it's a short stint. So sometimes like you'll have it for a year and then it'll go away. I have the kind that's called refractory new daily persistent headache, which means that it'll never go away. You're not diagnosed, or you can't fully be diagnosed with this until you've had the headache, tried to treat it for 3 years straight with no foreseeable improvements. So I've had it since September of 2017? Yeah, September of 2017 is when I got it, and is when I got sick, and that's when the headache started. So I am in the refractory, which means that more than likely, unless there's some sort of development or some sort of breakthrough or a drug that comes up, I will have a headache for the rest of my life. So obviously this has had large effects on my life. I think I'm gonna do a video probably after this going into more the personal side than the like medical physical side, on what are my coping techniques, how do I like spread out my day, how do I get through a good day, how do I get through a bad day, stuff like that. I have like abortive medications, how do I use them. I think that'll make a different video, more about how I cope with the illness, but for now we'll just stick to the facts. So that's one of my diagnoses, and then from new daily persistent headache, I have, so it causes chronic inflammation in my brain. So there's all this pressure and stuff being put on my nerves and my head and everything, because of all the inflammation that's been there for over 3.5 years. And then also because I'm constantly in pain, I am always in fight or flight mode. My, whatever, it's either the parasympathetic or the sympathetic, I forget which. Whichever one the fight or flight mode is, that one's always basically firing off. So I am always in fight or flight mode, which gets quite tiring, as you can imagine. So that causes a lot of pressure on my system as well. So I've developed these like comorbidities is what they're called, along with my main like chronic diagnosis. So on top of the regular headache and on top of like the new daily persistent headache, I have migraine, and yes, it feels different. I can tell the difference between the two. I can have both like I'll have both at the same time and be able to tell you, like, this is where the new daily persistent headache is, this is where the migraine is. I can tell the difference. It feels different, which is really weird to explain to anyone that's not in my head. But I also get a lot of face pain. So you might have heard of something called trigeminal neuralgia, which is a neurological disorder that causes people to have shooting pain in their nerves across their face. So I have something similar called trigeminal neuropathy, which is just a fancy way of saying irregular face pain. Like, it's just a fancy way of saying it. So I'll get pain in the nerves here and the nerves here, and then it'll like come across my face into the roof of my mouth, and it'll go down my jaw. And yeah, from that I actually like get a lot of the more migrainous features as well. It tends to make me more sensitive to light, more sensitive to smell, more sensitive to anything like that that may or may not trigger my NDPH. It's definitely going to trigger my trigeminal neuropathy and the migrainous features. So, yeah, those are pretty much like the physical. Oh, one that I forgot about because of what it is. So I also get brain fog, which is a very common term around the chronic illness, chronic pain communities. Brain fog is basically like, you might have heard it come up with all the COVID stuff, because a lot of COVID patients are dealing with brain fog. It's this idea that you're stumbling, you're trying to find words, you can't quite organize your thoughts. Like, I have a full outline over here of what I need to touch on, because I know like my mind will definitely forget and I'll end up like rambling off on a tangent, or just completely lose where I am mid-sentence and just not have any idea what I was talking about. And that'll happen to me in conversations as well. Like, I'll be sitting there talking with someone, even like in therapy, I'll be on a full rant and then just stop and have no idea what I was talking about. Oh, 20%. I'll just stop and have no idea what I was talking about, pretty much. Which is really frustrating at times, especially coming from a very like high academic background. It sucks when you can't find your words, but it happens. It happens. I've gotten used to it. My friends and family are great about it. They know to look for it, and like I'll ask them for help. I'll be like, I'm sorry, like I don't remember what I was talking about. Can you remind me? And then they remind me. We continue on the conversation. But one last one, the physical one, is I have really shaky hands. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I think you can see it. So it's almost like I have palsy, cerebral palsy. That's just from like the extra pressure on the nerves and everything from the inflammation just causes all these little neurological deficits, I guess you could go with. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the physical. And I already realized that this video is already 19 minutes long. It's gonna be a long video, guys. I got a lot of problems. Let's get into the mental. So like I said at the beginning of this video, like they all cross over with each other. So the mental and the physical go together and everything. I'm just gonna present them as like separate entities, and then kind of it can help explain the crossover. So I have severe major depressive disorder. I have that obviously because I have a headache every day. Who has a headache every day and isn't depressed? Like, I'm not sure how that would work. So actually most patients with a new daily persistent headache, I think it's something like 80% or some crazy number like that, have depression as well. And so I also have some genetic predispositions to it because I've had some really in-depth genetic testing, and my body doesn't process serotonin or dopamine correctly. So I am genetically predisposed to be depressed, but then the new daily persistent headache on top, and then inflammation in your brain, the compression on your brain causes depression to be worsened. So we get to severe major depressive disorder. Not bad. Oh yeah, also another lovely side effect to medications, dry mouth. So I have that. I have generalized anxiety disorder, which really didn't know until I started to treat my depression. The anxiety didn't pop up until the depression was like enough away that it had its time to shine, you know? I was no longer too depressed to be anxious anymore. I have ADD, the inattentive ADHD or ADD, whichever one you want to call it. I have that. I was just recently diagnosed. So if you don't notice, I've been looking around the entire time, like not like focused on the screen. That's the ADD right there. And so what else do I have? I also was just diagnosed, so we're calling it either mild bipolar type 2 or unipolar depression, treatment resistant depression, because I have been very treatment resistant to a lot of antidepressants, and so I don't fit the category quite enough for bipolar type 2. Like, I don't have those manic highs, but I have the low episodes, so we're just kind of sticking me in that gray zone. Just gonna shove me in there, you know? But it doesn't really change much, it's just a label. So it just gives me more insight onto different types of medications I might try in the future, etc. To try to like mood stabilizers and stuff to try to treat my depression better. And then I feel like I'm forgetting one mental illness that I have, which is why I've written this out, but I don't think Thank God for editing, right? Where is it? Well, so those are all my diagnoses, I think. All 5 million of them. Kind of what I go through on a daily day. I do take 6 medications currently in the morning. So I take my entire side table is basically a pharmacy. I take Wellbutrin, which is antidepressant, helps me get up in the morning basically. I take sertraline or Zoloft, another antidepressant. I'm on Cymbalta currently, been trying to get off it. That'll be another video, my Cymbalta horror story. But yeah, for sure. I got a lot of fun stories to tell with this journey. But I'm almost off it. I should be off it within the month, hopefully. I'm taking Deplin, which is like folic acid. It's like what pregnant ladies take, but it's been shown to help mood. A lot of things that I take are experimental. That's like one of the things about having a very rare disease is there's no NDPH medication, right? I'm taking migraine medication and hoping that maybe it works. And it does work on the migrainous features. But yeah. Actually, I think I'm gonna cut this out. I'm gonna make this whole different video. Yeah, I'm gonna cut that whole thing. Okay, well, those are my diagnoses. This video ended up taking a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be. I hope you got to learn more about like me and what my daily life is as a person, and then my diagnoses. I'm definitely gonna be continuing this YouTube channel, so I'll be going into what medications I take, what I've tried, how my treatment plan is, and then I'm not just gonna be talking about me being sick on here, even though it's most of my life. I'm gonna be, you know, I'll probably vlog a bit, show you my dog, you know, show you a little bit into my life, but for now, I think that's gonna be it. I appreciate you guys coming and checking out, and if you sat here through this whole video, thank you. Thanks for listening to my rants. Feel free to subscribe if you want. I'll be probably vlogging and posting. I don't know what my schedule will be, but hopefully like 2 or 3 videos a week. That would be pretty cool to me. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a good one. I'll see you guys whenever.